Postman Pat, Postman Pat, Postman Pat, and his black and white cat. Early in the morning, just as day is dawning, he picks...
Come one, come all, it's that time of the week once again. It's me, Mr. Drake, and this week I'm doing a video about how I saved £10,000 in 10 months as a part-time postman. But first, I need to change out this uniform because I need it for tomorrow. One of my not so humble brags that I never shut up about is the fact that in 2.5 years I've been able to save £27,000. Just over £10,000 paying off debts and just over £17,000 saved and invested in my future. But what I have never done is explain in any sort of detail how I've been able to do it, so that is what today is all about. But first, I want to ask you a question. What drives you to save? What are you saving for? I'm super curious to know what motivates us all as individuals, so leave your answers in the comments and I'd love to have a little bit of feedback with you about your goals. In reality, the basics are simple. The first thing you need to do is decide what you want most from your life in the next year, in the next 5 years, and later on in your life. Secondly, you need to ask yourself why these in particular are the things and the desires that you want most from your life above anything else. The third step is you need to write a plan to succeed based on your personal circumstances. You then need to remind yourself of these desires as often as you can to keep yourself on track. Balance any potential purchases against the things that you want most from your life and see if that purchase still feels as important once you've compared it to your greatest desires. And lastly, but most importantly, when you achieve one of your desires, make sure you love and live every minute of it, because that will inspire you to complete your other desires. But today, I'm not just giving you the basics, I'm not keeping it simple. We're going to take a deep dive into my personal finances so that you can see, as a part-time postman, how I saved 27 grand in 2.5 years. I just want to highlight, I don't consider someone to be wrong if they follow other budgeting methods. It's different strokes for different folks. Finding your budgeting method is a journey in of itself. It took me about a year to find the budget that I use now. And before that time, I was very erratic with my money compared to how I am now. My hope from this video is that if enough people see it, one person might try my style of budgeting and have wild success with it. I'm contracted to work 30 hours a week, which gives me a base salary of about £340 a week, or about £18,000 a year. My job is essentially an unskilled labourer position, but the one thing that it does have, which I take full advantage of, is the potential for overtime. I currently work about 12 hours a week in overtime, but in my first year and a half, I averaged over 20 hours a week in overtime. In my first full tax year, my before tax income was £32,000, which is almost double my basic income. In my first year, as I explained, I didn't follow a budgeting method that worked for me, so it was mostly my sheer determination to do overtime that helped me power through clearing my debts in a year. I get paid roughly 42 hours a week at a decent hourly rate. My rough take-home pay is about £400 to £450 a week. On top of that, I have a few other secondary incomes, but they're quite sporadic, so I call them irregular incomes. It's things like selling unwanted items on eBay, a little bit of match betting, and in the past I've done some handyman work to put a little extra money in the bank. Every month I track my income, and I track my income over the course of a year. Later on, I'll explain why. Let me just start by saying, I hate spending money. At every stage of spending, I critically judge what I'm potentially going to buy, and I end up deliberating over buying something so long that it could end up taking me 6 months to buy a £5 book. This works for me and it matches with my goals, but it may not feel comfortable for everyone. Cynicism is definitely a useful budgeting tool, especially when you use it to compare potential purchases against the desires that you're saving towards. Not everybody will have the personality type to be as cynical about goods and services as I am, and that's okay. Even I have my kryptonite when it comes to spending. My cynicism, combined with the next section, are what allow me to know before the month even starts exactly how much money I'm spending, and more importantly, it allows me to know how much I'll be saving. Each month I allocate my budget as follows: £475 rent, £9 phone bill, £11 vehicle tax, £10 Spotify, £155 to the kitty, £128 to car finance, £150 to Vanguard investments, £250 to a nationwide saver, earn £150 a month in spending money. All of my spending money goes on a credit card, and there are no restrictions to that money except for the £150 budget. If I underspend in a month, I don't roll over the extras to the next month. Same as if I overspend, I don't punish myself the next month by having less to spend. It's £150 each month, use it or lose it. Typically, the £150 spending money will go on things like petrol, going out seeing friends and family, snack food, eating out, things like that. Are you ready to hear something ridiculous? In the last 2 years, maybe a bit more than 2 years, I haven't spent a single penny of my salary on buying my own clothes. The closest I've come to spending my own money on trainers in the past few years is last summer. I bought 4 t-shirts, 2 caps, and a pair of trainers. They were all bought on eBay, and I spent money that I'd made by selling an unwanted item. I still had a £5 left over, and in my book, that means that I got the clothes for free, and I still made a £5 profit on something I didn't want. My aversion to spending money boils down to one thing. Between the age of 21 and 26, I earned less than £700 a month in self-employment, and many months it was much less than £700 a month. I got real good at spending nothing when I had nothing to spend, but don't feel too bad for me, because now it's my biggest budgeting strength and a source of pride. I feel weirdly proud of my 6-year-old Nike trainers, my 7-year-old shirt and tie, and my 14-year-old tracksuit bottoms. The way I budget means each month, before the month even starts, I know what my maximum expenses will be, and as long as I earn my base of £400 a week, I know exactly how much I'll keep. The more I earn over that £400 benchmark, the more money I get to keep. The one thing that helped me set my budget apart from anything that I'd done before was a Google Sheets document that allowed me to track my income and my spending at monthly intervals. You should be able to see it on the screen in front of you now. There are 3 main columns that I want to go over. Those 3 columns are the income column, the expenses column, and the differences column. This allows me to see each month how much I've spent relative to how much I've earned. It can also show me patterns of behaviour. If I have successive months where I fail to meet my budget, I can realign myself with my goals, get refocused, and get back on track. If I didn't have the tracking element of my budget, I'd just be driving with my eyes closed, hoping I'm going the right way. Before the start of the year, I roughly estimate my monthly outgoings for each individual month. Some may change in value, for example if my rent was to increase. I also projected my income based on the low end of my average weekly income for the past 2 years, which I've set at £400 a week. This table is set up so that if I cut my expenses or increase my average weekly income, I can put the details onto the sheet and it will show me the new projections based on the changes to my circumstances. What makes this so powerful is it can show me today the difference a small change can make in a year's time. It feels so much easier to drop expenses when you can see how much you stand to save and what that change will allow you to do. But what is the point in budgeting? What is the point in saving? Money is just numbers scribbled on a page, and it has no value unless it's able to provide you with an opportunity to do something. So what are you saving for? I've saved the best for last here because this is the cherry on the projecting cake. Knowing how much money you can save each month or each year means jack shit if you don't have a plan or goal for the savings. I allocate my savings to goals, which turns it from numbers on a bit of paper into strongly emotionally linked opportunities in my future. I have 3 types of goals. Short-term goals, they're anything that you want to achieve in the next year. Medium-term goals, which are goals for in the next 1 to 5 years. And then your long-term goals, which is anything over 5 years from now. Right now, as I film this video, I have 4 goals. 2 of them are short-term goals, 1 of them is a medium-term goal, and 1 of them is my long-term goal. I don't recommend having more than 5 goals in total because you'll be spreading your money too thin. So let's have a look at my short-term goals. My first short-term goal is a holiday with my girlfriend to New York City. I'm super stoked about this because I've never been on holiday outside of Europe. And not only that, I'm a massive NFL fan and the New York Jets are my team. So I'm going to go and watch them play in the Meadowlands. I cannot wait. November 2019 is when we're going and I'm already excited. My second short-term goal is to pay off my car balance and say goodbye to car finance payments. My medium-term goal is to save a 20% deposit for our first home and complete the move in 2020. I am fed up of paying rent. I can't wait for me and my girlfriend to own a family home where we can pay equity into the property each month instead of just paying rent and throwing money out the window. My long-term goal is semi-retirement in my late 30s or early 40s. I can't wait until my passive income is enough to cover 50% of my total income, because then that's going to allow me to reduce my working hours even more and spend more time with my family. I'm going to cover this goal in a future video in more detail. Knowing your financial goals has to be the most important part of your budget. It is the first step you take in creating your budget, and it should be the step you spend the most amount of time on. Money itself is not inspiring. In fact, it's boring as fuck. It's the opportunities that money provides us with that's going to inspire us to go out there and do the work required. Whether it's holidays, shopping sprees, events with friends and family, buying a new car, buying a new home, getting debt-free, or even retiring early. It's going to be possible if you build a structured plan that you're emotionally invested into and you hold yourself accountable to it. And that is the secret sauce. Set goals for your financial plan that are going to wake you up and they're going to get you to work. I've got goals in place that I'm so excited to achieve that I'm willing to make sacrifices now to achieve them faster and experience them sooner. The more I experience my goals, the more I'm going to want to chase down new goals that I set for myself. It is a self-fulfilling cycle. Just set the goals, hunt them down, start achieving. Until next time, guys, stay cash flow strong, turn your wages into wealth, and I'll see you on the next video. All the best, everyone. Adios! If your cash flow game is already strong, you need to know how to make your money work for you, and you need to do it tax-free. For that, check out the ISA series that I've posted here. And if you're struggling to make ends meet, or you're trying to put a little bit more money in the bank each month, check out this video on match betting to see if it could be a way for you to make a little extra income each month. And if you haven't already, please subscribe.